Hey there, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I hope everybody done had a good week because I know I did. Yes. And so my week was pretty good. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to actually go to one of the festivals. I haven't been to a community event in a while because of my situation, but now that I got myself taken care of, um, I finally got a chance to go to one. To a cultural event at that. And one of those events is the Egungun Fest. So it's my first time actually going to a Egungun Fest. I've never been to one before. Now I've been to like different ancestral celebrations, okay, but I never been to the Egungun Fest. And it was my first time actually get a chance to actually experience and see people just marching and people wearing the costumes and um actually seeing folks kind of, I don't know what they call it. It's not initiation, but it's like blessing or something, like doing a little blessing where, when you kneel down to an elder in a sense and they pretty much like bless you in a sense. Like that was my first time actually seeing it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty dope. And then seeing everybody come together dancing and enjoying themselves to the beat and the drum. But most of all, I've seen a lot of young people there. That's what really, that's what made it so exciting because most of the people that was there, they were young. They were the millennials, Generation Z, or whatever you call them, Generation Z, and the younger ones. Okay, yeah, the little ones. But yes, and of course, some of the baby boomers was there. Generation X was there, but for the most part, it was millennial and Generation Z. And that's what made it so beautiful. Like, wow, it's so many us young folks up in there. Like, like you talking about people my age group, all the way on down to the little ones. I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. This is like a family affair. You know what I'm saying? Just seeing all the black people together from the diaspora coming in there, enjoying themselves, having a good time, listening to the drama, listen to the music. It was great. It was a beautiful event. I have one of the videos posted on here, so if you guys get a chance to, make sure you check out the video that I posted because I'll be posting another video up here. So yeah, so you get to see what the Egungun Fest is about and how they celebrate it. So speaking of that, I want to get into the history about the Egungun and what is that and why people celebrate that and what is the meaning behind it and etc. So I do have books available. I have some articles available that people can look into. So that's my whole purpose, is making sure that I give the proper sources, the proper material where people can go and find information out for themselves. So that's my whole agenda here. But I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to Big Cree Money and peace to Dion. How you doing, brother Dion? All right, now I'm going to kind of switch it up a little bit because usually I go to the Wikipedia source. Now I'm gonna go to the actual book. Then I'm gonna go to the wiki source, and then I'm gonna use other articles and books, etc. So this book here is called the Egungun among the Oyo Yoruba, written by S.O. Babayemi. So I'm gonna show you the title of the book. All right, that's the title of the book, The Egungun Among the Oyo Yoruba. All right. Now, in this book, it goes into the history about the Egungun, and it got some Yoruba translation and transliteration on there as well. So this book came out in 1980. All right. So chapter 1 is dealing with the introduction of origin of Egungun. All right, so I am going to go. All right, I'm going to go down here. And here it is. All right, so some of the things are cut off on here. So, but it says engendering deep belief in divine guidance and protection. Above all, having an Egungun is a way of immortalizing one's name, because anytime the Egungun comes out, the drummers and women of the family sing in praise of one, recounting the heroic deeds of the family. Then it goes on to say, in the past, some powerful Egungun led their communities in war. Mahuru Mahuru in Oyo, Dara Gaban in Kisi, and Lemo Jaba in many towns are such Egungun. Others, such as the Jinijun and La Bunkun in Oyo Olulu and Ati Paco in Ibandan. I'm not really good at saying these names, but anyways, let's go ahead and skip down to where it says the Komolulu in Ipitum Mudu and Pajamaze and Iwo help to rid their different communities of social ills. All right, so these type of Egungun are capable of exposing and executing witches and other evildoers in the society. Herbalists usually have their Egungun to demonstrate their magical powers. The Guild of Hunters have was it La Lewu and Egungun Ode, while some of the principal Orisha in each community have their attendants Egungun. Alakoro is Egungun Sango. There is Egungun Oya. There is a Iya Ebe or a Loko, which are meant to show mainly endurance. There are Egungun Olore. So in this category are the Alapansampa in Ibadan and Lemo Jaba in Gobongan and others. So the professional Egungun entertainers dramatize contemporary events in each communities. For example, they mimic prostitutes, sanitary inspectors, white couples, and drunkards. Wow. So it says an annual Egungun festival is usually organized collectively when the spirits of the ancestors share physical fellowship with their relatives on earth. The festivals usually last 7, 14, 17, or 21 days. At the end of the festival, it is believed that all the Egungun return to heaven. Their spirits could, however, be called upon from their different Ojubo, which is sacred spots, whenever their relatives on earth needed their divine service. In fact, certain Egungun do come out after the annual festival to perform specific function. All right. So it says these include the Egungun that carries rituals to sacred spots, those that hunt for witches, those that perform rituals at funerals and other functions. Egungun, Anandan, Alaranjo, and Abigio, who are professional entertainers, could also come out all the year round. So, okay, so basically, now there's some words that I'm familiar with that's written in Yoruba, and there's some words that I'm not familiar with. Okay, so forgive me on that. But basically, the Egungun is celebrated as a way to commemorate someone who has become an ancestor. So I've done a video about ancestral veneration, and that's one of them. Egungun is an ancestor veneration. Okay, there's normally practiced around this time period. So basically what they'll do is they'll march and they'll celebrate. So the Egungun represents like that spirit of the ancestors that's with us. So the spirit of the ancestor is operating through the Egungun, which is operating around us, basically. So I want to get into the wiki source. If you guys want to check out this book, you can. And it's called the Egungun among the Oyo Yoruba. All right. Okay, so the name of the author is S.O. Babayemi. Okay. All right, so now let's go to what the Wikipedia source says. All right, and I just want to show you guys what the Egungun look like. So let me give you a picture. Ooh. So that's the picture of what the Egungun looks like. They wear the mask. Okay, they wear like the little square mask, cover themselves, masquerade themselves. And usually the people that perform the Egungun are males. Okay, the males usually perform those, dress up like that or whatnot. And it's like women are like there to like lead the Egungun, like kind of just keep everybody together in some sense. But for the most part, when it comes to somebody dressing up, it's usually the male. Okay, it's usually the male. But let me go ahead and let me show you guys the Wikipedia source. Is anybody? All right. Okay, here we go. So now the Egungun, in the broadest sense, is any Yoruba masquerade or mask costume figure. More specifically, is a Yoruba masquerade for ancestor reverence or the ancestor themselves as a collective force. Igu is the reduced form of the word Egungun and has the same meaning. There is a misconception that Egun or Igu is the secular form or that it represents the ancestors, while Egungun is the masquerade or the pure form. This misconception is common in the Americas by Orisha devotees that do not speak Yoruba language as a vernacular. So Egungun is a visible manifestation of the spirits of the departed ancestors who periodically revisit the human community for remembrance, celebration, and blessing. So again, going back, the Egungun symbolize the ancestor visiting the community and celebrating with the people in spirit. All right, so it goes in the classification of Egungun types, right? So here's a better picture right here. That's how they usually dress, like this. Okay, so you can't see them because they're wearing a mask. All right. Now, It says classification of Egungun types. So the classification of Egun or Egungun types might appear to be a fairly straightforward task, but in fact is extremely complex deciphering the comprehension of indigenous taxonomies. The difficulties include the problem of distinguishing between personal Egun names and direct terms for types. The problem of determining sex, the problem of determining sex where one masquerade may be regarded as a several type of categories simultaneously. The practice of layering in which a masquerade wears one costume type over another and changes these during performances. And the variety of criteria used to classify Egungun as well as the range of variation within type of categories. Such factors demonstrate the complexity of the analysis of indigenous taxonomies and the classification of masquerade types. These same difficulty arise in the definition and use of the term Egungun itself. However, from cultural affinities, especially in the Yoruba land, southwest Nigeria, the following Egungun names can be identified. Dana for Jura, Awodabisi in Obomoso, Alapans Sampa in Abiodun, and Faleru in Ibu, Osun State. All right. So basically, it talks about the role of the family. So in the Yoruba religion, the annual ceremony in honor of the dead serves as a means of assuring their ancestor a place among the living. They believe the ancestors have the responsibility to compel the living to uphold the ethical standards of the past generation of their clan, town, or family. The Egungun are celebrated in festivals known as the Adun Egungun and in family ritual through the masquerade customs. All right. Then you go down where it says in family situation, a family elder known either formally or informally as Alaba presides over ancestral rights. He may or may not be initiated into the local Egungun society in matters that deal with whole communities. Egungun priests and initiates who are trained in ancestral communication, ancestral elevation, and funerary rites are assigned to evoke and bring out the ancestors. They wear elaborate costume as masquerades. Through drumming and dance, the Egungun robed performers are believed to become possessed by the spirits of the ancestor as manifested as a single entity. The Egungun spiritually cleans the community through the dramatic acting and miming of the robed priests. They demonstrate both ethical and immoral behavior that have occurred since their last visit. In this way, they expose the strengths and weaknesses of the community to encourage behavior more befitting of their descendants. When this performance is completed, the performers as Egungun give messages, warnings, and blessings to the assembled spectators. All right. But then it goes down to say in Brazil, the main cult of the Egungun is found on the island of Itaparica or Parica. Yeah, Itaparica in the state of Bahia. Houses of worship dedicated to the Egungun also exist other states. All right, so as you can see, now going up, basically there's the elder in the family who is pretty much running the whole ancestral rites. And on top of that, what the Egungun do, they imitate from the ethical standpoint and from a unethical standpoint, they imitate behaviors. All right. And so they do give messages, they give warning, and they give the blessings. Now, let's see. Okay, so go down here where it says women's role in Egungun. So Egungun masquerades are male dominated within the performance aspect, and only males are allowed to connect with the spirits in Egungun by transforming into the masked figure. Women are prevailed in creating the materials, dramatizing the performance, singing, dancing, and watching. Elders say that separation is necessary because of the dangers of women power. Mm. And it says, according to IFÁ Corpus, women were once in control of Egungun. The ritual originates from women's religious experience in Yoruba. It is also argued that women were the sustainer of Egungun, and according to the Odu Irantigbe chapter of the IFÁ Corpus, they were tricked by men and their powers over the Egungun cult were taken away. All right, so that's an interesting story. So yeah, it's basically how it is. Normally the men are the ones that's going to masquerade, and they're going to be the ones that's going to perform as the Egungun. So women pretty much can't be the Egungun. They can basically they can basically create the materials, dramatize the performance, and sing and dance and watch it. That's the only thing that women can do. They can't put on the outfit. All right, they cannot put on the mask. They're not allowed to do that. So that's that part of it. Let me show you guys some more sources. All right then. So I want to show you guys this information right here. So this book is called Oral Tradition and Slave Trade in Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin. Right. So let me go ahead and let me get to let's get into the part about the origin of Egungun worship in Benin. So it says, according to this narration, the origin of Egungun worship in Benin had to do with the case of a domestic slave of the family of Alapini of the Yoruba tribe and a human gift to the family of De Sousa, a renowned slave dealer in Quada or Cuda. Right. So he became noticeable for his Egungun worship activities and was reported to the king of Abami, who summoned him thereafter. After he was summoned, the king asked him if he had no other preoccupation apart from offering sacrifices to the Egungun spirit. He then asked, was it Alapini? Yeah, Ablapini, excuse me for the mispronunciation, who had arrived at the palace alone to command into existence more Egungun in order to demonstrate that indeed he was powerful. Alapini then asked that the king should provide for him some coconut, hot drinks, and a few ritual offering materials. All right, so these were provided, and he used his rod to strike the ground. This action brought into existence 9 masquerades to the amazement of the king. The king then asked Alapini should be given a place to settle in a vast land where he could practice his Egungun worship and direct the affairs of Egungun in Odua. This was how the presence of Egungun not only came to be established in Benin, but also became incorporated into the oral tradition related to slavery and the transatlantic slave trade in the area. And it says, following the experience brought about by the worship of Egungun, the slaves were thereafter marched through the door of no return, and from there to the sea, where the ship that would convey them through the Atlantic seas to the New World would have been waiting. The recent upsurge in the homecoming of African Americans to Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin is no doubt a reaffirmation of the return aspect that was implied in the Egungun factor. All right. So that goes into the origin about the worship in Benin. So basically, the whole Egungun worship was traveled from Benin to the Americas, right? Even during the transatlantic slave trade, that was also brought over to what we call today North America, by our ancestors, because again, that was their way of making sure they commemorate their ancestors and keep their tradition alive. So many of them secretize their traditional beliefs into Abrahamic religion just so they can keep the master from knowing what they were doing and what was going on, what type of celebration they was having. So they was able to blend it in with the Western culture. That's why I keep saying over and over, we practice African tradition and we don't know it. We practice African customs and we don't recognize it. Isn't that funny? Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? But it's not really funny, but it's very interesting because that's our people way of saying this generation got to continue to pass down the tradition. And that was their way of making sure we don't forget our practice, our ancestral practice and culture and customs. That's basically their own way of doing it. But a lot of us don't forget because we're so engulfed into this Western society that we forget about our ancestral practice. And then there are those of us who have returned and be able to stay connected. Okay. All right. So again, this book right here is called The Oral Tradition, Slave Trade in Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin by what actually came from UNESCO. So the editor name is Dr. Alaba Simpson. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I put all the information in the description link, like the name of the books and the name of the articles and things like that. Okay. So I'm gonna make sure I do that. All right. So also, if you want to, you can go on jaster.org to check out this information. It's called The Arts of Egungun Among the Yoruba People. African Arts, Volume 11, Number 3, from April of 1978. So it was 4 pages. Okay. And so this one was by Henry John Drewal, or Drewal. Yeah, Henry John Drewal was the author of this article here, which is The Arts of Egungun Among Yoruba People. All right, so right here, let me go ahead and try to zoom this up. So right here it says Egungun masquerades are elaborated as symbols of cloth and other medias that pay homage to forces affecting the living. The widespread distribution of Egungun throughout Yoruba land and the variety of its visual forms, even with a single community require the combined efforts of scholars working among various Yoruba subgroups. The collection of essays that follows brings together the material, perspective, and perception of different researchers examining Egungun within specific community. Our common objective is to provide a more comprehensive and precise classification of masquerade type. All right, so basically they dealing with the research. So as we can see here, this is the anthropological research, cultural anthropology, because that's what it will be. All right, so let's go in. So this is Nigeria, and these are the different times in Nigeria, different communities. Okay, so these are the different artworks, figurines. So Batinke and this one Igbo, Akan, Barkongo. Let's see what else. Jire and Maka. All right, so these are the different masks and the different figurines of different statues, etc. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much that information. All right. So that's pretty much that information right there. Again, you can go on jaster.org and you can look up the African arts, the arts of Egungun and most Yoruba people. So I want to show you guys maybe all right, I want to show you guys one more book. So you guys can find this book on archive.org. You can find this book on archive.org if you want to check it out for yourself. All right. So this book here is called Yoruba Artists, edited by Rowland, Abiodun, Henry J. Drewal, and John Pemberton the third. All right, so let me go ahead and scroll down. All right, so it gets into different arts, the Yoruba arts, and etc. I'm trying to see if I can find the one about the Egungun. All right, so well, I'm not really gonna go through all this, but anyways, you guys want to check this book out. It's called The Yoruba Artist. So you guys can check the book out for yourself. All right. So also, I just wanted to share this one interesting book. This book is pretty interesting. It's called the IFÁ A Forest Mystery. Now, it does not directly talk about Egungun, but this is something interesting. So this book doesn't really like, it doesn't really talk about Egungun per se, but it is a relation to it. Okay. So let's see. So this book is called the IFÁ A Forest of Mystery, right? Which is written by by nicholaj de mattos. All right. Page 138. So this one is Oyeku Miji, a mother of the spirit of death. So just check this out. So when E.G. Obe speaks of the need for patience, tranquility, and walking gently in the world, it says that this should be done because of our eventual passing. In the Odu, following E.G. Obe, the birth of light, we find darkness and annihilation. The human journey is here revealed to have an end. Oyoku Minji manifests the marketplace as a symbol of life in Aye. The marketplace is the site of fortune and misfortune, giving a good deal to the bad man and short changes the honest seeker. Chance and opportunity arise as a consequence of light being caught in matter and taken on a myriad of forms. Seeing the result of this, Oyoku Minji has the following to impart. Let us not deceive those with whom we make community. Let us not break oath with our companions. Let us not do this because of our eventual passing. All right. So she represents the spirit of death. Okay. And I just thought this is something that was very interesting to share since we're on the topic about ancestor veneration, etc. So it says Oyoku Minji speaks of being trustworthy, of retaining the light of E.G. Obe, so that we are always fair, honest, and honorable. But it also speaks of how people will succumb to the temptation of greed. The seed of corruption is found here. Odu speaks about materialism and avarice. It speaks about the meeting of friend and foe. In the verse cited, we should take notice of the word abe or eBay, which denotes the community we belong to, whether in heaven or on earth. It is a admonition to recognize our shared humanity. So the marketplace is the field of Aye, the earth, which is why the Apun Ifa, the divination board, is also born in this Odu. The Apun Ifa is a symbolic representation of earth and manifestation, the full circle of the human journey. It is upon the Apun Ifa that the Awo reveals the patterns of creation as they unfold. So it also goes down to say that E.G. Obe taught that the calabash of consciousness was dropped when it was brought from Arun to Aye, and that the wisdom is contained was dispersed, but Oyoku Minji reveals that much of this wisdom was gathered by Anale, the spirit of earth, with the help of Isu Adara. That which had been gathered was composed into Igbadu, the collage bash of creation of the calash badge of creation as the spirit of earth. So as she had been able to gather the wisdom that fell to earth, Onile was declared the owner of the womb of earth. Her ability to gather wisdom continued as the world moved on and replicated the 256 patterns of cosmic wisdom Onile had secured. Because of this, it is necessary for a Babalao to receive this spirit vessel. The Igbadu to do so is to be given the power of the womb, a power that woman holds naturally in her capacity of digesting the greatest mystery of all, life. The womb of woman is the manifestation of the cosmic womb of possibility replicated in the womb of creation, which is understood to be the nature of Aye as mediated by Onale. This teaching is of the concealment of light, the secret gestation of life from a womb to birth. When light meets matter, a third element arises, which is always a transformative power. This power is given to Ishun in one form of another. I believe this is due to one of the more mystical interpretation of his name, that he is a ray or flash of light that generates a sphere, temporal order, or confinement. So it also says the class of spirits known as Egungun, Iku, and Ashun Odora represents by the volcanic laterite stone known as Yejandi or Yangi, are born in this Odun. Adara means to disperse, and what he dispersed here is a chance, luck, and opportunity. The potential for fire was born with this stone, and through this movement and transformation became possible. Now it's pretty decent. It really don't have anything to do with the Egungun per se. It doesn't have anything to do with Egungun per se, but it basically gets into the concept about the spirit of death and also talks about the spirit of life. Okay, so it gets into that concept, a spirit of death and a spirit of life. That's what it deals with. So it's kind of like dealing with the concept of reincarnation. Like every time a person dies, a person is born, type of thing. So in some culture, they believe that people are become a reincarnation of their ancestors. And the way it's kind of semi-true. And the reason why I say it's semi-true, because when you study the concept of epigenetics, that kind of goes into that, but not too much into it. It goes more into like the genetic traits that you carry, right? It goes into the genome. So basically you carry the physical traits, behavioral traits, and that could be passed on down from your heritage, right? Or it can be coming from your environment. So nature versus nurture. So in a sense, it kind of resonates with the concept of epigenetics, but not all the way, right? But in certain cultures, they do believe in reincarnation. They do believe that every time a person dies, someone is born. I mean, but we can see that every day somebody is passing away, and every day somebody is born. I mean, that happens. Every single day there's a child born, and every single day there's somebody is dying. That's the process of life in itself. Life is the beginning of death. And that's all, and that's what we have to learn as a people, that life is the beginning of death. But anyways, that's all I have for this evening. I won't be going any longer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and shout out to the chat. Peace to Brother Vinyasa. Shout out to Centavo for coming through. Thank you. I appreciate the love. And if you guys want to share this information, you can. Make sure you like the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. And I will make sure that I put in the titles of the books in the description link so you all can look into it for yourselves. Just don't take my word for it, okay? Just look at it for yourself. So that's my main purpose of doing these YouTube channels, to get people access to the sources so they can check out the sources for themselves. All right, so they can look it up. Okay. All right, then. So, anyways, I hope you all have a good one and y'all be safe. Until next time, peace and power and elevation. And I'm out. All right.